back to the Open Peace Podcast, everybody. I'm Jared, and today we just have Kane and our newest guest,
Hello.
Karmit. Karmit, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's about time that we finally got another Northerner up on this show. It's been just me. Everybody else has either been from like the South or the West Bank. Or the Tel Aviv area. Nobody's from the Galil that comes onto the show. It's very disappointing.
Right. Well, this is actually, I think, the first time that we're really going to speak much about the northern sort of, not exactly conflict, but the situation with Lebanon, and we've not really brought that up yet. So
yeah, we've been focused mainly on other areas because, Karmit, you live on the Lebanese border, correct?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I live 300 meters away. And actually, to be honest, I'm not the right person to ask about the situation because I'm in complete denial. I live in a very peaceful place. I grow my children in a very peaceful and harmonic situation. So if you want somebody to tell you how dangerous it is here, I'm not the right person to ask.
We're not looking for.
I know where I arrived to, so don't worry. No, but I'm saying that I really feel that the Galilee is an example how things can easily work. Unlike, if I talk to people that live next to Jerusalem or next to Gaza, they have lots of excuses from all sides. Somebody has a Sarah, and you see, I'm very peaceful.
Yeah.
The only thing that you'll hear from my side is the birds for now, at least.
Yeah.
If I try to convince somebody that peace is possible in their area, they will give me tons of excuses how it doesn't work. I have lots of excuses how it works. Like really, literally, I live in a peaceful environment. I live in a community 300 meters away from the border. We don't have a fence around us. 10 minutes from me, there is a Muslim village. I shop there. I buy their things. We're very good neighbors. We communicate. We have no issues between us. 10 minutes to the other side, I have another Arab village. They are Christians. All their relatives are on the other side of the border in Lebanon, and they're extremely friendly. I guide their, as a tour guide, I guide their Christmas trips. I do lots of cooperation with lots of the women there and other businesses that I bring tourists to. I have another village here of Druze people, and they're the best family that I have. Everybody around me are different religions. None of them are living with fences around their places. I go there every day. And in the same time, we respect our differences. We learn in different education system. The fact that I send my kids to a forest school, it's not something that I think that they have to do the same. We teach different things in schools. We give different values, but we live one next to another with no fence. And this, if it works here, in tiny, it can work. It can multiply. It can work everywhere. It's not that we're the most, hugging trees people, all of us. We're just, nice to each other. So, so this is my perspective of what is it in the Galilee. It's actually inspiring for the rest of the country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's like the biggest characteristic that I think brought me to the North is that it's just way, how do I put it? It's less segregated up here than it is in, say, the Gush Dan or down in the Negev, where
there are specific neighborhoods where different groups live.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, on my street here, my building itself is filled with Christians and Jews. Christians as not Arab Christians, as in Russian Christians who got over here somehow. But there are Arabs all up and down my street. Most of the stores on my street are owned by Arabs. It's not. We don't even live in different villages. We're literally on the same street, bitching to the same to the same district for about getting the trash taken care of. Yeah,
about the same problems. I bet. Yeah, I mean, it is. I think, like you said, Karmit, like an example of coexistence and how it can happen here. It's weird though. Why do you think that the maybe the more open-minded people, the ones that are more willing to coexist with our neighbors, why do you think that they tend to move out there, further away from the center?
I don't think that it's moved people that moved here. I think it's less stressful here. So people are willing to be a bit more open to ideas. Like, for example, I live in a tiny village. All of us are crazy from different reasons. You know, there are people here that hate Orthodox Jews, and some people are you know,
Oh, I get that.
people Kabbalah. Some people here are more religious, like very, very varied people. But
Yeah.
if, for example, if a person is very stressful and he feels like he's been pushed to a corner, he will stand on his feet and protect himself. And if he's a bit less, he's like, you know what, you live the way you want to live, I live the way I want to live, and, you know, bye.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we have technically more space here, we're less threatening each other freedom. Like, you know, I live 10 minutes from Meron, okay? I live where there was the disaster this weekend, and I was more able to open my heart and go and give some help there than my friends that live side by side, you know, Bnei Brak and Tel Aviv, because in some areas, the Haredic people, the Orthodox, they are threatening the secular people freedom. They're afraid that if, you know, they will open their ideas to it, so they will force me to keep Shabbat. They will force me to close my stores. They will force me to eat kosher. And they feel like this group of people is threatening them. So they really hate them. And if there is a disaster like what happened last week, their heart is not even open to say, you know what, that sounds really sad. They will start thinking, oh, they brought it on themselves. They they deserved it. For me, I'm not threatened by those people. The first thing that I did when I heard about the disaster, I took my car and I just went there to start helping people because they're not threatening me. So the same thing. It's not that I, you know, personally as a human being, it's not that my DNA is like, okay, I love Arabs or I love Christians. I live in an area that I'm not being threatened to be who I am, and that allows me to accept the others. So technically, that was bringing. So there are people here with extreme ideas, but they're not doing anything extreme with it because they, you know, they can live their routine daily life. If you ask them, some people that would believe in peace, some not. But it's not that everybody here are peaceful. But the peacefulness is because nobody needs to trigger it. And, you know, if you live in the West Bank, you're being triggered the whole time. You're really constantly thinking about your identity, about your freedom, and it brings a lot of anger into it. So sometimes it brings also to actions. So I think that's the thing. It's not that all the good people came to up to the north. If we're moving back to Jerusalem, we'll be nervous and anxious in the same way.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think it has to do with exposure first and foremost. You know, like, I don't like, again, and like as I said before, in other parts of the country, people are very separated from other groups, whether it be different types of Jews to even ethnicities like Arabs and I don't know, Thai or
but
Sudanese.
when you live in Jerusalem, you're exposed to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, you're exposed.
Everybody next to you are different.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm not saying exposed as in like you see them. I'm saying exposed as in interact with and live next to, and you know, be neighborly. That builds positive feelings amongst people. When you go to West Bank and Jerusalem, you have Jewish and Arab neighborhoods where people are like loath to go in and be seen interacting with the other, even though they're like right there. You can see each other from your windows, but they won't interact. Like we don't. I think that's the difference. Yeah, I just think that's the difference between the North and the South.
Because I'm afraid, for example, I was afraid for a lot of time to go into our villages. I was afraid. I thought if I'll go into it, I'll be just, like a duck in a hunting season. But when I got to know more and more people, I enter places and I allow myself to interact because I'm less afraid of them. And then they get to know me. And in the same way, but I feel it's not even about Jews and Arabs. It's generally, if I live in a way that I'm not afraid, I allow others to be less afraid than me. And it's something that we need to work on. It's not, sometimes it comes easy, and sometimes we need something that we need to put in mind. And it's.
I agree with that. And is that part of what gave you the idea for what you've done with the what have you called the project? Singing for Peace or
Singing
something?
across the borders. Actually, it's a funny
Or
story.
two.
I live very close to the border. So when my daughter
Right.
was very young, I think she was 3 years old, she would start complaining and saying, why can't they, we hear their weddings on the other side. They live very close to us. And she would complain in the middle of the night, why they don't turn the music off? Why is it so loud? Why can't we tell them it's bothering us? And, she was 3 years old. Go and explain to her it's a different country. We're not in a peace process. I have nothing to do with, I can't tell anyone, on the other country to turn off the music at 12 o'clock at night because you can't fall asleep. And it was funny.
Yeah.
And I tried to give her simple answers to her questions, not to put politics or complications into her head. But then it hit me that if I hear them, I know when they're celebrating, they can technically hear me. And that was a mind blowing because I live in a situation that I got used to the fact that I can't be heard. The people that are telling the narrative are not representing me. If it's my prime minister, if they're, it's the government. They are saying we're strong. If you hit us, you will hit back. And I was like, I want them to know that I want to live with them. And when I realized that technically I can do that, it was like, wow. But I didn't know how to do that. And in the beginning, I was thinking it was like a really, I would say, funny idea saying, I really want women to stand from both sides of the border and just sing together, like completely ignore the fence. We could, unite together, ignoring those fences that are being put between us without asking us if we want or not. And then I had a friend that told me, it's a bit of a problem, not because you are naive to think that peace is possible. Technically, they are not allowed to come so close to the border as you are. They have the Hezbollah that is threatening them. They have our army that is threatening them. And also, they don't know if we want. And I was like, they don't want. They don't know that I want. Of course that they should know. We say that we want peace all the time. It's like, no, they don't know that. And then he encouraged me. He said, it doesn't matter if they will come or not. You need to do the first step and let them know that you want.
That's right.
And then I told that to some of my friends in Women Wage Peace. And I would say that the smart thing that I did was to tell that to the right women, because they took it with both hands. And in less than a month, thousands of women joined us. And we made like a week that we went through all the borders of Israel. And we stood very close to the border. We took a song that we translated to 3 languages. And we teach all the women that came into each spot the song. And when they learn how to sing it, we just turn the speakers to the other side. And also we did a video clip because I realized, okay, maybe nobody's in the house over there and hearing us now. And maybe they didn't tell those others people, but I want this to move on. I want some people this ripples to be bigger. And we did a video clip of it, and over 500,000 people watched it. And the 2 amazing other things that happened was that when we march in Jerusalem, saying that over 5,000 women joined us. But also it was very amazing that in the last day, when we were standing very close to Jenin, to the Palestinian Authority in the edge of the West Bank, women came from the other side, and they were standing there with the children and their men, and they said, thank you for coming. We want peace too. And I didn't believe that was happening because I felt I'm so childish. I just said out loud my stupid dream, and not only it fulfilled in a whole week. Things are happening really fast. So it made me really, I would say, optimistic, because if I could dream a silly dream and it could happen, of course, a big dream that is serious, like peace, it can happen. So this is kind of the idea behind it. And it's not that I think that we need to sing the whole time across the border. It was just like a movement that I felt that I want to do. I want to try it. I want my physical voice to cross. If I can't cross with my 2 feet, physically I cross with my vocal waves.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. And I think it shows just by the numbers that you brought in what a powerful movement it was. Even if you only do it once, and I personally think you should do it more, again or something,
Make it a yearly affair.
Yeah, maybe a yearly thing or even more. But I think it is great. and it's a small part, at least, of the puzzle to creating a general overall peace.
Yeah.
So it's
Also, I'm just having a quick thought of why is it so inspirational when women just do things?
That's what I was also going to say.
Yeah,
If you look at history as well, when women get together, like the suffragette movement, just for example, often they can spread that feeling of togetherness, and we're going to do this together very quickly. It's really,
I mean, throughout history, women have always pushed change.
I
Karmit.
give you my perspective why women are supposed to be doing this. First of all,
Sure.
we live in a world that is masculine dominance. Even though women are not, I wouldn't, 100 years ago, my women position was completely different, but still, women are not the ones who are like equal changing the world. Okay, we still look at if you look who are the prime ministers, you see the leadership, you see, for example, if they're doing a council of who's dealing with COVID-19 or whatever, if there will be one woman there, it will be a miracle. And that doesn't happen. It's not that they're not scientists or not the right women who know the good solutions, but men are taking the position of we are the leaders, we know what to do, we are making decisions. And
like positions of authority.
And if you ask, by the way, many different cultures, from the Eskimos to Native Americans, different cultures around the world, everybody are talking in the same language and saying in the last 5,000 years, the world is suffering from what they call masculine imbalance. They're saying that there is an era that is about to end now, and it's going to end or with the collapse of humanity, or we're going to find the right balance of women and men together, moving the world in I would say in harmony and balance. And it's not that I think that the government needs to be now all women. It's not about that. We need to bring ourselves back because we bring different qualities. When I negotiate with somebody, it's different negotiation as men do. Men is like, okay, I'll give you this, you give me that. We're like, and me, I see how I negotiate with my kids. I say all the time, I negotiate with terrorists every day. I see the bigger picture. Sometimes I even surrender to my little terrorist at home because I see the bigger picture, and I also know what is about giving compassion. Sometimes I think the solution is about saying I'm sorry. I was walking with my daughter the other day to some of the villages that were abandoned in 48, and she was asking me about where those Arabs went to, why did they go, and do they want to come back? And now she's already 8 years old, so I can give her more answers, but still, I don't want to put her in mind thinking of war and be afraid. And
at least not yet.
I had to her was about saying, sometimes we do something and it was the best we could have done, but it still was hurting somebody else. And the first thing we need to say is sorry. And saying sorry, I see your pain. I see that what I did, even though it was the best I could do or it was for self-defense, I hurt you, and I'm sorry for that. And let's see how let's work it out. I think the first thing when you see somebody's pain is that I would say 90% of the solution. And today, I feel that, most of the negotiations is not even about asking for forgiveness or seeing the other suffering. And it's not about seeing the pain. And you know what? This is something that needs to be talked first, even before where will be the borders, how much we will give, how much you take, it's not about it. It's first of all, recognition of pain and the consequences of what we're doing, both sides. And this is something that women, I think, are more good at the beginning. It's not that they're not sensitive men, but it's something that is more,
I would say, it's a feminine trait more.
Yeah.
And I think this is why women needs to be pushing this. And also, you know what? I think peace is the most sustainable thing that I can promise to my children. And it's and if I want to protect them, and this is what I want to do as a mother, I need to work for peace. And it's something that is apparently for women is a bit more important than for men, even though I meet lots of men that are behind us, but it's something that is, I don't sleep at night thinking that maybe my kids need to be in a war. And it's something that so I think this is kind of it, why women are, it's not about just saying peace, and why women have to, stand up and saying, no, this is something we demand that will happen fast and soon.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that I also have a similar. I don't have any kids right now. I'm young myself, obviously, but I think about future generations, and I feel the same, not guilt, but the same unease about the idea of letting the rest of my people and everyone else's kids here suffer and have to deal with this fear hanging over their head all the time.
Yeah, it's like a sense of duty, you know. I mean, because like me and Kane, we talk about this all the time because we're gonna raise our kids here when one day, God willing, we have our families. We don't want them to have to serve in the army like we did,
No.
And, like that's something that we should work towards, and we should probably get started doing it now. Because I mean, like, I want to get that family started like within the next 10 years. So.
Yeah.
You can be also, you can look at the world and say, wow, we look at COVID-19 and the world is changing so fast. Maybe we can be optimistic and hope that peace is coming, tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you never know.
It can. If the right people will decide it happens, it will happen. And we just need to, make sure that they understand that.
Yeah. Maybe apply some pressure to the people who have the power to make it happen. By doing things like this and things like, I think things like what you did, singing across the borders, it in its own way applies pressure to the governments because they can see like, oh, this is now a video that people all over the internet, all over the world can watch and see that these people don't want to be fighting. So it looks bad on them if they don't do something about it.
Yeah, it challenges the narrative that the governments and political organizations have set up.
Yeah.
About how we think of each other. I mean that's kind of what we want to do on this channel as well. Just humanize the other side, humanize Palestinians to Jews and humanize Jews to Palestinians. So you can see like we're just people with the same wants and worries that the other ones have. I don't know, I feel. And back to the previous point, I just feel like women are better at doing that. Getting people to see the humanity in the other. I don't know what it is, but I mean, women just throughout history have like been the driving force of change. Like at least in the modern world, with all modern revolutions and like the liberalizing of society. Like the real people who kicked it off were mainly women's marches, like France, for example. What really kicked off the revolution was the women of Paris just going, you know what, fuck this famine shit, and marched their asses down to Versailles to demand bread. Yeah.
Basically.
I think we're more surprising.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
There's something there, though.
But I think that's it. I think basically what you see is that when we've had enough and there's a snap, that's when things happen. And it doesn't always take one. Like the government, for example, can ignore your one event that you did singing across the borders, but the more and more things like that happen, the less possible I think it is for them to, put it to the back of their minds, push it out the way, and say we're not dealing with this right now.
Yeah. I think, by the way, this is more correct because I don't think my act was important to anyone in the government. But I think every woman or every man, by the way, there are also many men that joined us that came to support the women movement. They felt their heart is opening. They felt it's possible. They felt like, wow, this miracle is happening like this. And that encouraged them to do more. And again, I'm giving you the same example that I had last week with helping the Orthodox people in Mount Meron next to me. I felt that every person that I came and helped them, there were people that are wondering, didn't know where to go. I just took them, put them in my car, and I drove them to where they needed. They were so grateful. They felt so open-hearted. They said, we want to help like you do. We want to do good in this world. And I was like, that's, I felt that
Good
it's not
choice.
about feeling that I'm a good person. It felt that
Right.
by doing good, I caused other people to do good in the same way. So I feel this is
Yeah.
like the ripples that are being to be done. The more people would believe peace is possible, would believe that we can make a difference, this is how we're going to make this huge tsunami. I don't want to influence the government. I don't care about them anymore. I really care about our all conscious together. If we all
Yeah.
believe it's possible, they will just go and, deliver the key. It's a matter of movement. And you start with little rocks you throw into the water, and eventually it becomes big ripples.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And have you always lived in the north? Were you born in the village you live in?
Nope. I was living in the center. Until I was 18, and
Oh,
then in
right.
my service, I was actually living on the border with the Gaza Strip. And I remember
Ooh,
I
is
used
it
to
good?
work in the fields, the potato fields, with people from Gaza. And I remember I
Wow.
was so naive.
See?
They were trying to convince me to vote for Ariel Sharon, and I was like, "Why are you trying to convince me to vote to a right-wing person?" And they were like completely educating me about forces and about how this would make this and how he influenced Arafat. And I was like, "What? It's so complicated."
Yeah.
I just thought like if we'll only be nice to each other, there will be peace. And I moved
Yeah.
from different places. I lived in the desert for a few years and Jerusalem, and now I'm here up north in the last 8 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well, running a country takes a lot, a lot of
Yeah,
different
it's
details. So there has
and
to
a
be
lot
some
of
sort of
different
structure to it.
personalities.
Yeah, there has to be a structure to it, and lots of small little things. But I'm not. I'm also no politician. I'm not involved in the legislation and all of that side of running the country. But I know that it's not possible that this is an unsolvable situation. There has to be something that can be done. And
Yeah.
we've heard on this very podcast a few different ideas. People coming out with their own thoughts all the time on what we could do. So it's
Yeah.
really just a matter of moving past the inertia and getting the wheels turning.
Yeah. I mean, humans created this problem. Humans can solve it. Like,
It's true.
I was gonna say, like if we really wanted to, we could have a fucking city on Mars. You're telling me we can't figure out how to draw a line on a map? No, we can figure this out.
It's interesting what you're saying, because maybe we don't need to draw a line on the map. Maybe the idea is to make overlapping maps, like you said, that in your street there are different people with different beliefs and different cultures. They are living in the same building, the same street, and they don't need
Oh, yeah.
to make a line between each other. Exactly like I live in the gallery, we don't have a line between us, and that's what works. Because we're all the
Yeah.
time afraid, like that the solution is to make it geometrically working where the roads will go. But if we understand that maybe we just need to make an area that will be safe to everyone, to respect each other differences. We all have the freedom to think differently. It's very important to think differently, but in the way that we respect the fact that I always say, I never met a fish that explains a bird how to live, and they both live in a really true and honest way of living. And the fish needs to live in the sea, but even our fish, a bird that lives in the jungle is not living the same way as a bird that lives in the desert. They have
Yeah.
different way of lifestyle, and it's not that one is better than the other. And if you accept that, if you understand that there are others like you, but they live differently because they live in a very truthful way for them, then you live side by side to them. And this is how nature works. The most
You're right.
sustainable and balanced ecology system is the one that has the most biological diversity, more species, more different ways of living, different niches. And if it works in ecology, it can work on humans. So I don't need to convince everyone to be like me. I don't want them. I want them to believe differently. I want them to live differently. I just want them to allow me to live in peaceful way like I will allow them to. So I think if we'll stop thinking to where to draw the line, maybe we'll find it much easier. We'll just do it overlap.
Mm-hmm.
No, everybody needs to be the same. We all need to think this. We all need to look the same. We all need to dress the same.
I
Also,
don't think
Kane.
it's nice with a beer. No.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody needs to look like me, but Before we
Yeah,
go on, real quick, Kane, you're not wearing earbuds,
No,
are
look
you?
at it.
I'm not. No, 'cause they don't really
Could you
connect very
put?
well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if the echo was because you're not wearing headphones, or if the echo was a result of internet connection. I don't know.
It might be
It's
connected.
fun.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure. But yes, I think what you said about that is a great point. That nature has worked like that for millions of years, and everyone, all the different species evolve to fit their environment and adapt to their natural habitat. And I think that that's a great point to make, because if that's how nature itself has allowed things to evolve, then it shows that we can take a lesson from that. And I don't think that it's a political philosophy so much, more as like a collective kind of general philosophy that it would be nice if we could spread to more of the world where everybody thinks that way, because there are still so many cultures that have been isolationist cultures for millennia, and only recently they've started to mix with other groups. So it's kind of new, really. um, the way that the world is now, it's not been like that for very long. And I think that it
Yeah.
might take a while before people can learn to see it that way. But that is the future of humanity's way of looking at our differences, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the world that we're living in right now is very new, and we're still very unsure about how to deal with it. I mean, like
Mhm.
hell, say 100 years ago, their lives are vastly different from ours. I mean, like the internet changed everything, and we still aren't quite sure as a species how to deal with it, even though like we had just figured out how to deal with the industrialization that
Yeah,
we achieved in like the 1910s, and now all of a sudden we have this brand new thing that made industry obsolete. And I don't
yeah,
know, we're moving too fast for our own good, I feel.
it could be that. Yeah. And do you feel like a distinct difference in that, Karmit, where you are now as opposed to when you're in the center? It's got to be like a completely different lifestyle.
I feel that I have more privilege of saying my opinions here. And even if the
Uh-huh.
people next to me are not agreeing, I have the freedom to say that without being criticized. Um, I I wasn't a complete different. Like, okay, I involved myself my whole life, but I feel that there are more places that I need to apologize for my ideas, and I still, feel that like, I'm sorry, I'm so naive, and I know that I'm naive, but I really feel comfortable being naive now because I see it works. Or um, even the financial way of living. 20 years ago, I felt like, I need to apologize the way I do it and I need to disguise it. Or being, a green person, I was embarrassed by that because I was so weirdo and I was like different. And now everybody like talking about we need to go and be more sustainable. And I feel that I chose to live here, it's specifically in this community, because people think here very differently, but they accept the fact that people think differently than them, and it feels that it's more safe to express your ideas and learn from them because you want to involve. You don't want to be stuck on the same thing and to think it the rest of your life. You want to get involved and think bigger. 15 years ago, I thought, the best solution for trash would be recycling. Today, I think recycling is, it's not an idea that is worth even talking about anymore. I'm saying it from a green point of view, but the
Yeah.
fact that you have a possibility to talk with people and to think about new ideas, to hear about all kinds of ways, is very important. And it's and I think, by the way, you can do that also in Tel Aviv. I didn't live in Tel Aviv because it's too noisy for me.
Hmm.
I need to have some quiet around. But I love meeting the fact that there are other people that are accepting different ideas and sharing them one to another. So I don't think it's unique only to the north. It's just a matter where you feel comfortable. I'm a bird that lives in the jungles. I'm sure that if I
Right.
was a crow, I would feel more comfortable in Jerusalem. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Well, Jerusalem's kind of a special. It's funny because when
Yeah.
you were telling me about singing across the borders, it brought to mind a scene from a movie that I watched once. It doesn't all
Just
take
once?
place in Israel. It's
Just once?
it's World War Z.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a zombie horror movie, but at one point they come to Israel and it shows the Israelis and the Palestinians have made peace with one another by this point.
But
And they're
that
all,
peace killed them.
yeah, they all die, but it's a horror movie. But yeah, they're all singing together around the Kotel and around that area, and Jared's dying by it. But
I don't
it
think it's
reminded
one
me
of
of
the
that.
movies that I'll enjoy to see.
Just sneaking a track with the zombies. Sorry.
Jared's lost it completely. But no, it is it as funny as Jared is. I think that during that scene in the movie, before it all goes wrong, it is. I remember watching it and thinking,
Oh, God.
if we can get to that stage one day where everyone is singing together,
Oh,
then that's something we want to strive for. I found it touching, and it's funny that is one movement that's out there right now.
Yeah.
As a way to try and end this endless conflict.
I'll take the singings, but hopefully we could do without the zombies.
Hopefully, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, oh, that was the dumbest thing about that movie. It's like finally the Jews and the Palestinians made peace and they walled themselves up in Jerusalem and like they start singing together in peaceful harmony. But all the noise attracts the zombie whores and the zombies bust down the walls. It's so fucking stupid.
Sure.
Oh my God.
But anyway, I think it is a great movement. I like the idea when Amir told me that that's what you've been doing. And yeah, so what I was going to say is, of course, the North is the North has its own character and the South has its own character. But generally, the center tends to be like the busy, noisy place. And those like North and South and the edges of the country tend to be the more quiet, remote places. Maybe in the South, it's a little less because there's often rockets coming into certain
I don't
areas.
think it's about it's really not about center it's more about where you feel intensively the conflict. If they were shooting rockets all the time here, I would talk differently. But honestly, I live in a very peaceful place and I have the opportunity to enjoy it.
But there is a fear that you were talking about before of the conflict, because you say you want to end it for your children and their generation. So there must be some kind of feeling that it could happen at any moment.
Yes, because it's a story that everybody are telling themselves. For example, I was arguing. We have a unit here in the village that is doing every now and then practices, and they're like putting terrorists in our youth club, and they're like running. And I was really angry about one of the guys that were in charge of it, and said, I don't want my kids to see that. And he's like, you live in a dangerous area and you need to accept the reality. And I was like, no, you need to accept the reality. This is a reality that you build in your head. I live here and I didn't meet this reality in the last 8 years. It's a situation that can happen. And I agree with you, but it's not my daily life. The scenario that you're running in your head is not existing for real for now. It can happen, but it's not. And the fact that everybody here agrees about this is a logical scenario, because the Hezbollah is talking, because it's not a peaceful border, because we don't have a relationship with them. All of that is true. It's a scenario that everybody is talking about as a realistic situation. And I don't want it to be a realistic situation, like I don't want the zombies would be a realistic situation. And this is part of the thing, because if we look generally on our daily life, if we look in the last year, how many dangerous things happened to us in Israel? It's not that, there are some things that happen, but it's not as dangerous as we talk about it the whole time. But we want to... sorry for the noise. Somebody is building something.
That's okay.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think the narrative that we're selling to each other is even worse than the situation itself. But we want to change the narrative. We want to change the talking about it. Every
That's
now and then, even in the States, people are feeling that they are living in a very secure environment, and then all of a sudden there is like a crazy maniac that goes and shooting, and everybody are surprised. And it's okay to be surprised because you live in a environment that most of your life are normal life, and you're not afraid all the time. To live in
yeah,
fear is sometimes not, worse than actually to be in a very threatening situation.
Yeah.
And it's
yeah.
not that I don't want to protect from maniacs, and I don't want to protect us from. I just think that if we'll get to the situation that it's really an open field to everyone. I don't want, there's some Palestinians that live all the time in the feeling that they are not able to fulfill their dreams. Now maybe all the borders would be open and they're still not going to fulfill their dreams because they don't know how to do that. Most of my friends, they live their normal life, wake up, go to work, go, and they don't go and do amazing things in their life, but they know they can. And this
Mhm.
sense of freedom is something that allows them to come, breathe and live happily just because they know that they can fulfill their dreams if they would like to do so. And some people are being frustrated just because they are feeling that somebody else is not allowing them to do that. So it's more about what we tell each other rather than the reality most of the time. And I want to change that.
Yeah.
I want to tell a different story, and I want everybody to agree with me that it's a possible story. I want to feel safe. I want to, as much as I go to my next door neighbors and I enter to the shop and I don't even feel for a second that it's dangerous to me. I want to do the same thing when I go to Hebron, or I want them to feel that they are able to go all around the country and it will be peaceful for all of us.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of agree with what you're saying there. I don't know. It's just me. I personally feel that the real way to get along is just to accept the fact that safe is not something that happens ever. Safety itself is an illusion in my mind. And like the sooner we all can come to terms with the fact that the world is dangerous inherently and we could all die at any time, I think the sooner we'll be able to start making actual progress. Like you used America as an example earlier, how people feel safe and then a big tragedy happens and we all act shocked. That's because America's not a good example for that. Americans are spoiled and stuck in a bubble, taught to feel safe. They would rather live in an illusion than deal with the actual world, which is something a lot of Americans are very famous for,
It's not
especially
just
the ones
America,
that are
man.
shocked. I know it's not. It's not just
it's a
America.
general like first world country thing that like in Britain it's
Yeah.
like that. Like it's
Wait, I want to
dangerous
stop you
in
for a
places.
second. I want you
Mhm.
go outside of your house now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Well, like
you
right
drive
now, all
the
right.
car and it got stuck, and
Oh.
somebody's coming to help you. Would you like to live in
Yeah, I would
fear that
stay there.
maybe this guy want to rob you and maybe he's threatening you, or you want to live in a situation that you feel like, what, this guy just want to help me. I'm feeling safe in this community, in this environment, and he's just helping me because he just is a good person. I prefer
Mhm.
to live 98% of the time in feeling that if a person is reaching a hand and helping me, is because
Yeah.
they are good people and they want to help me. I don't want to be afraid the whole time from
I'm
everybody.
not. I'm not saying being afraid. I'm saying is that like if I'm stuck on the side of the road with no gas and somebody stops to bring me gas, like I just accept the fact that this guy could be an axe murderer who's gonna behead me and rape my corpse, and I just go, fuck it. I don't care if I die anyway. Let's bring it on, Jason. Nice,
Wow.
nice hockey mask.
We can
That was
agree or not
amazing.
disagree. You know what? This is a good example how you can live your own life in the way you want to live it, and I will live it
Yeah.
differently.
Nice evil villain laugh, Jared. But no, I actually get what you're saying. Both there's points to both of it. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't have. There will never be complete safety. Of course, the world is a
Yeah.
dangerous place, but you don't have to live your life fearing. Like you're right. Personally, the way I live my life is I understand that anything can happen, and I decide not to let it inhibit my life. I decide that if something means something to me, I'm gonna do it because there is no life if you allow the potential dangers to stop you from doing stuff. So I see what you mean, Karmit, that it's not worth holding yourself back and not opening yourself up to a happier life because there's a possibility that something bad could happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds a bit patronizing, but it's not. I wonder when you will be, I don't know, 15 years older, and you will have too many things to be afraid to lose: children, the love of your life, a work that you feel that is really supporting the lifestyle that you like, things that you're really afraid to lose. If you will still feel comfortable living in fear, I try to work in a way that I'm not afraid to lose my job because I know I'll find something else.
Exactly.
I'm trying to live less with fear just because I have too much to lose.
Yeah,
So I don't
exactly.
know. We can talk
that's what I mean.
I mean, every part of life is a roll of the dice anyway. Like at a certain point, you just have to say, okay, everything is a risk. I just have to get used to it. Like mourn the loss when it happens, but don't be afraid to go outside and do stuff because I mean, like the die are gonna roll no matter what. So you might as well go out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but some things are all. You can say, okay, I can go out and die in a car accident. I have nothing to do with that. But there are a lot of things that you do in life that you understand that what you do has consequences. If, for example, I, as a mother, go now and I want to meet Palestinians, and I drive to an area that could be not safe to me, I need to think about: do I take extra risk? Do I really want to do this? And sometimes only when I feel safe enough, I take the risk because I said, you know what, it's not as risky as I thought. And the consequences of me meeting Palestinians or me going on a car is safe enough for the results to be worth it. If I'm really, really afraid that this is dangerous, I'm not going to take the risk because I do choose the risks that I take. And sometimes I'm afraid that the risk is too big. So it's a question not only about what you lose, but also checking out if you really suspect that everybody are psychomaniacs in the road, I think you will go with extra gallon of gas in your car. You won't allow them to come if you really believe that.
That's true.
But if you you know what, bring it on.
I'd rather, exactly, bring it on. I'm a manly man. I'll fight them off. No, but like that's kind of the point that I wanted to make. I mean, you made my point for me. We agree on this. Just like some risks are worth it, some we'd say aren't. And I mean, like I live in fear of like losing things all the time. Like I'm American. I grew up in America. I was born to a Jewish father and an Irish mother. And that relationship didn't last long, but I was then raised by my stepfather, who is black, and he is the father of my 3 younger brothers, who are all mixed, and mixed in America means black.
Yeah.
There are 3 young black men in America in this day and age. I have never felt safe for my family. So it might just because I'm cynical, but like there's a certain level of insecurity that certain groups of people feel because they're not privileged enough to feel a sense of security in a certain type of society. And there's a level of security that I feel in America that my friends in my neighborhood and even my own flesh and blood can't feel because of this.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the same way, Israel has that same type of thing, where depending on the kind of accent you have, you're going to get stopped a lot more in a way that's very reminiscent. Not exactly the same, but very comparable to the situation of blacks in America. And I feel like an Arab or a person who has grown up in the Arab community or with a foot in the Arab community would be a lot more skeptical of, risk, because life is already a risk at that point. You know, like when like that's your baseline for existence, you're just kind of look at it all cynically. I don't know. I might be rambling.
You know, there's some sort of like choice involved though. Like I've had a hard life too, lots of things I've been through, but I try not to live in fear. I try to, if I can make something better and safer, then obviously I try to do that, and this is the evidence of it. But I generally just living my life. I try not to worry about what could potentially happen, while also like you don't have to be an idiot or a moron in order to enjoy your life and try not to let things get to you. You know, you can still understand, of course, there's a possibility, but why even spend all this time thinking about it? So on that, I understand why you choose to do something for peace, but also just live with an open heart and open arms and try and love people. I get that totally. Yeah. And I try and do the same.
Yeah. You still there, Karmit?
Yes, I'm listening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I had worried you there for a second that you dropped off again.
No.
Yeah.
Sitting quiet and listening. It's also something that we need all to practice.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And do you feel that people do that around you? Do you feel like you see people who are very willing to listen and be open to new ideas?
I think so. I think, also, I met once a very interesting person from Alaska that told me a sentence that was really important to me. He said, "I'm not going to where I'm not invited." And I realized that sometimes I go and I tell my ideas and I tell things that to people that don't want to listen. And it's very frustrating me because I feel like I'm being pushed out. And then it hit me. There are enough people in the world that will be interested in hearing what I have to say. I just need to try to make, it's not that we all, like, I need to learn all the time things, but I need to find the people that I feel that I can learn from. And it doesn't mean that they think the same thing as me, but I feel that there are some people with their coming with a certain attitude. I can open my heart and ears and to learn from them. And one of the things that I try to do is find the people that are willing to, hear my ideas and listen to it. Sometimes I feel that it's less working, but I feel that more than 90% of the time, I succeed to attract people that have interest of the ideas that I'm bringing. And sometimes they are radical, and sometimes they're very obvious. And I learn from them also a lot. But I try to get to the people that I can touch, not the people that, I'm so far away from the way that they are willing to listen to. It doesn't help. So
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope you at least get their permission before you touch them at the very
But you actually see a lot of people from all over the world, right? Being a tour guide, with a lot of different opinions. Do you? Is there a common sort of idea that these people tend to have of what they're about to see?
I think that one of the greatest privilege that I have is the fact that when people arrive to me, they expect to have some unique experience or something that will be meaningful for them. So automatically they come to me opening their hearts to hear something different. And sometimes, I tell them exactly what I want to hear, and it makes them, oh, she said exactly what I wanted to hear now. And it's like, I came to them exactly. And some people were like, okay, this is interesting. This is a different perspective. So I honestly, I met, even this year during COVID, I guided thousands of people. Also because some of them I guided virtually. I started doing virtual tours and things like that. But also because I needed to survive as a tour guide. So I started guiding open to the public tours in this area, in the Galilee. So lots of Israelis came here. And I market my tours in a way that they look different. It's not that they're expecting to come and hear about the wars of the border, and then eventually comes the hippie girls and talking about peace. Something in the way that I publish, they understand that they'll come and hear different ideas. So it's very moving to see that people are coming. Sometimes you hear that they're like, they say, you're right, but ta 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 ta. But a lot of them, when they come, they automatically they came with a certain energy of saying, I want to hear something different than the way I hear every day in my life. And so it's, I really use my job. I would say even more correct. I work at what I do in making peace and coexistence and sustainability every day. This is what I do. I use tourism as a tool. This is what I do in my life. And when I want to be successful in it, I will just look for another way to do it.
Okay, that's great. And did you get into it with that in mind, that this is a way for me to try and work for peace in my own way, or did you just love the area and say, I want to show people this area, and over time it came to you that you can use it for that?
I think I was always believing that what I do, like I brought my ideas with me, but it took me a while to realize that my work is a tool. Before that, I was a hiking guide, so I wanted people to love nature and feel more connected to it. And later on, I just want people to get to know different people. It was I would say, evolution of my understanding of how much I have. Like I wake up in the morning and I know that I'm gonna brainwash those people to be open-minded. I'm joking, but I'm saying it's very obvious to me that that's what I do now.
Sure.
It's not before that. It came on the side. It was naturally coming, but I was not aware of the fact that this is such an important goal for me. Today, I see it, and if I'm not successful, by the way, I was guiding a few days ago, and I was pretty much just entertaining some of the people. And not really, I felt that some of them are not really listening. They were just enjoying the trip. And I was like, okay, I didn't do it as correctly as I wanted. And only when I succeed, I really feel that I succeed to do something significant in their heart. I was like, okay, this was a good guidance.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. I think it is a great way to go about it.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously very, very passionate about it. You feel very strongly. And I mean, honestly, that's just a great thing to see from anybody who enjoys what they do. And, especially when it's from somebody who's in such a position to really make a difference and help, people change their minds, expose them more to what it's really like, and help them see the people that they would only see through a TV screen, or see the places where it's supposedly happening. And there's unlimited potential in it,
Yeah. And it's different. Being there is nothing like seeing it on TV.
Oh, yeah.
And often, people have certain opinions until they go to a place and see it for themselves. And then it's just seeing the place often can convince somebody, wow, this, I've changed my mind about this. Like I know people who denied the Holocaust and then went to visit Auschwitz and immediately changed their minds once they arrived there and felt the air and the vibe there. Really, seeing a place yourself can change you in a huge way. Unfortunately, we do seem to be coming towards the end of the hour, right?
Yeah, we are. I was hoping to get maybe 5 more minutes in, have Karmit give a little closing statement.
Sure. Do you have anything specific that you want to talk about, Karmit? Or
anything you want to say to the audience?
Mm-hmm.
Just be good people. Do your best. And you know what? I have something to say. When we plant trees, like in our world, we think like, okay, if I'll plant another tree, it will always be good, right? It's obvious to us that planting trees, no matter how much we will add trees to the world, it will be good. But when we talk about having children, we're like, okay, if this person having 5, 6 children, there will be eventually too many people. There's not enough food in the world. We're getting to explosion and so on. And when I was trying to realize what is the difference, why another child is too much and another tree is okay. And I was thinking, okay, trees, they take oxygen, they take nutrients, they take water, they take from the world. It's not that they're, like angels, they just, and giving. They also take. But in the end, in their bank account, they're in plus. They always give more than they're taking. And I would say that what I encourage us all is to be trees. That eventually, the the bottom line will give more to the world than we are taking, and we're allowed to take. I'm allowed to build a house and to eat and to drink and to drive and to take, from the space around me, as long as in the bottom end I'm giving more than I took. And this is what I want to give to your audience. And I encourage you all to go on Google and write "We Shall Overcome Women Wage Peace," and I hope to see the video clip, and maybe the song would touch you also.
I'm definitely gonna watch it for sure.
I am now, at the very least.
Put,
And,
put the video link to the bottom of the video.
Put it on the description.
We will put it in the description of the video for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and guys, if I'm ever to become a tree and I could just sit there and sustain myself purely through photosynthesis, I only hope that you would plant me in front of my TV. That's all I want. I know I won't be able to watch it because I'll be a fucking tree, but I just want to know that I have it. It's mine.
There's only one Jared, ladies and gentlemen.
There's only one of me. I don't know. There might be more.
Let's hope not.
Yeah, there might be more. But you know what? Unfortunately, guys, we're at the end of the episode, and it is time for the return of the Thunderstrike of Justice.
Boom.
Ah! No! I missed! Oh, there's two presses! I tried to clap and quickly got it.